Meet Cleo, an Egyptian vulture and one of only about a dozen of her kind in the entire United States. Now, in the wild, her species is in serious trouble. In just the last 20 years, wild Egyptian vulture numbers have dropped by more than 90% in some areas. Every bird in human care is rare, valuable, and a potential lifeline to the future of the species. Now, Cleo came to Hawk Creek as a potential breeding program partner for our male Egyptian vulture, Dynasty. And when they met, Dynasty was head over heels in love at first sight, and Cleo was definitely not. She was not interested, and so today, Cleo is helping her species in another way, serving as a rare ambassador and helping people understand the importance of vultures and why her species is one of the most remarkable birds that most people have never heard of. Egyptian vultures are striking birds with bright white plumage with black flight feathers, a wild feathery mane, and a vivid yellow face. They're small for a vulture, about 5 pounds with a wingspan of around 5.5 feet. But what they lack in brawn, these birds make up for in brains. They're incredibly intelligent and one of the only birds of prey known to use tools, famously breaking ostrich eggs with rocks. Juveniles look nothing like the adults. They're dark brown and mottled, slowly lightening over their first 4 to 5 years, reaching their regal white and black plumage and breeding maturity around the same time. And sometimes you'll see an Egyptian vulture with rusty red feathers. This isn't natural, it's makeup they give themselves by deliberately applying iron-rich clay or dust. What's really cool is that why they do this remains a mystery. Theories suggest it may be a signal to other vultures or help with parasite control. And that mystery is part of what makes them so fascinating. And Cleo's quirks are only the beginnings of her story, because where she comes from and the family she belongs to might surprise you. Cleo is what's called an old world vulture, part of the same family as hawks, eagles, and kites. In fact, she's more closely related to an African tawny eagle than to a turkey vulture. The world's vultures fall into 2 groups: Old World vultures like Cleo in Europe, Asia, and Africa, and New World vultures like the turkey vulture and black vulture in the Americas. They look and act similar, but they're not closely related at all. New World vultures are actually closer to storks than to Cleo. It's a perfect example of convergent evolution, when unrelated animals develop similar traits because they've adapted to solve the same problem. Vultures on different continents evolved bald heads, broad wings, and a taste for carrion because those features are perfect for the scavenger lifestyle. Unlike North America, which only has a handful of generalist vulture species, Africa has more than 10 species, each specialized for a role in a complex web of scavengers. Some have powerful beaks to open the thickest hides. Others, like Egyptian vultures, are specialists in cleaning up the softer tissue that remains. And vultures that can't open a carcass themselves will actually seek out those that can, following them to the meal. That interspecies teamwork makes the system incredibly efficient, but also means it's fragile. When even one piece of that web disappears, the whole system can start to unravel. And sadly, that's exactly what's happening. In the last 20 years, wild Egyptian vulture numbers have dropped catastrophically, more than 90% gone in some regions. And they're not the only ones in trouble. Of the 22 species of vultures worldwide, 15 are endangered or worse. One of the most damaging threats is a veterinary medication called diclofenac. Diclofenac is used in parts of Africa and Asia to ease discomfort and inflammation in livestock, something like giving a common pain reliever to a cow. It can make an animal feel more comfortable, but it's not going to change the outcome if they're seriously ill. In many rural areas, there's a long tradition of allowing livestock that have reached the end of their natural life to remain on the land and to return to the earth naturally. This isn't neglect. It's part of a centuries-old practice of letting scavengers clean up what's left behind, which in turn helps the environment and keeps disease under control. But when livestock treated with diclofenac are left for scavengers, the vultures that arrive are in for a hidden danger. Even tiny traces of the medication in the animal's tissues can cause serious health complications in vultures. And because vultures often feed communally, a single contaminated carcass can harm dozens, even hundreds of birds in a short period of time. Diclofenac isn't the only threat. In some areas, vultures are affected after feeding on remains that have been treated with harmful substances intended for predators. They also collide with or are electrocuted by unsafe power lines, lose nesting areas to human development, and in some cases are targeted for the illegal wildlife trade. And when those birds are lost, it's not a simple matter of replacing them. Egyptian vultures take several years to reach breeding age, and even then, a pair will usually only raise just one chick every 1 to 2 years. That slow reproduction means that every loss sets the population back in a way that can take decades to recover from, if it recovers at all. The result is a gradual unraveling of an entire ecological system, one that's been stable for millennia. And when the vultures disappear, they leave behind a dangerous void and an increased risk of disease. But our relationship with vultures isn't just about science. It's about history, tradition, and the way people have valued these birds for thousands of years. Long before scientists understood the vital role vultures play, people already revered them. In ancient Egypt, the Egyptian vulture was sacred, symbolizing motherhood, protection, and purity. Associated with the goddess Nekbet, they appeared on royal crowns and temple walls, and the image of a vulture represented the letter A in hieroglyphics. They were among the first birds protected by law. The Greeks believed they reproduced without males, linking them to divine creation. Romans considered vultures prophetic, using their flight patterns to read the will of the gods. And this respect isn't just ancient history. Today, herding communities in Africa and Asia still value vultures for their role in keeping livestock healthy by removing carcasses quickly. In these regions, they remain symbols of purity and renewal, living links to ancestral traditions. And the love of vultures isn't just cultural, it's also practical. Studies show vultures contribute billions of dollars in ecosystem services every single year by preventing the spread of harmful diseases and cleaning up the environment. For thousands of years, people recognized the value of vultures. The same reasons ancient cultures valued them are the reasons we still need them today. Vultures are some of the most important animals on Earth. They do the work that no one else wants, and they do it better than just about anybody else. When an animal's life comes to a natural end in the wild, it can be a buffet for dozens of different scavengers. But without vultures, that process is slow and messy. Other scavengers might feed for days, scattering remains and leaving enough behind to attract flies, rats, and feral dogs, the very animals most likely to spread dangerous illnesses. Vultures clean it up in hours. In Africa's scavenger network, a single large carcass can be reduced to clean bone in a single afternoon. Larger species tear through hides that nothing else can open. Mid-sized vultures strip away muscle, and Egyptian vultures, like Cleo, finish the job, taking every scrap of softer tissue and leaving behind almost nothing for bacteria to grow on. It's a system that's been running for thousands of years, and it works so well that when vultures are gone, nothing can replace them. Hyenas, jackals, even feral dogs can't clean a carcass as completely, and they can spread the very illnesses vultures help prevent. So when we protect vultures, we're protecting more than an animal. We're protecting the health of entire ecosystems and ourselves. And while the challenges are real, so are the successes. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the scale of the vulture crisis, and the danger is real, but there's good news, and it's happening right now. In South Africa, organizations like Vulpro are rescuing, rehabilitating, and breeding threatened vultures, then releasing them back into the wild. These programs are giving endangered species a fighting chance. And right here at home, ambassadors like Cleo are leading the charge to change minds and inspire action. At Hawk Creek, Cleo helps visitors see vultures for what they truly are. Not ugly scavengers, but vital, beautiful guardians of health and balance in nature. Every person who leaves with a new appreciation for these birds is one more ally in the fight to protect them. Cleo's work is proof that conservation isn't just about field projects in far-off places. It's about education, connection, and building a culture that values vultures, so when they need our help, we're ready to give it. And here in the US, we've already seen proof that this can be done. The California condor, once down to just 22 individuals, has been brought back from the brink through intensive breeding and release programs. Today, there are more than 400 in existence, with over half of those birds living in the wild. If we can do it for them, we can do it for Egyptian vultures too. These successes, from Africa to right here at home, show that conservation works. Vultures can have a future, and ambassadors like Cleo are part of making that happen. Cleo is helping to change the future for vultures. Every time she meets a visitor at Hawk Creek, she's breaking old myths and replacing them with respect and understanding. She's showing that vultures are not dirty or dangerous, but skilled, essential members of our natural world. Her work reaches far beyond the people who meet her in person. Each story shared, each conversation sparked, and each mind changed adds to the growing movement to protect vultures everywhere. you can be part of that movement. Join us through supporting the work of organizations working to protect these birds like Hawk Creek and Vulpro. Share Cleo's story so more people can see vultures in a new light as guardians of health and balance. And when you speak up for them, you're helping to give vultures around the world a chance at survival. The more we understand vultures, the more we can protect them. And with your help, they can have the future that they deserve.